Alright guys, it's Antonio here. We're at Battle Bears in Kaiserslautern, so if you guys ever buy it, you should check out the store. We're here with a local player, Alex, and we're just going to ask him some questions to the ban list. And so the first question is, what 3 cards would you like to see get hit most on the next list?
First, the obvious choice, Firewall. I also dislike Gumbler quite a bit.
Okay.
And when it comes to the third card, I'm not really sure.
And why do you say Gumbler?
I dislike having to start. I always go second, so I dislike having to start with only 1 card.
Okay. So, and then 3 cards to come off the list. Which ones would it be? It doesn't have to go from 0 to 1, but it could be like a card that's at 1 to come back to 3, for example.
I'd like Maxi back.
Okay, why?
It's a fun card, I think.
Okay.
It's interactive. Yeah,
Okay. It forces your opponent to think more about his plays.
yeah, pretty much this.
Okay.
And the other 2 cards, yeah, something that destroys back row.
For example.
Harpy's Feather Duster.
Okay. Why do you think that? You think there's too much back row in the format right now?
A bit, but I also like ODK, my opponent.
Okay. And what else? Last card?
I didn't really think of it.
Okay.
Of something good.
So this next part, I'm just going to introduce you 3 cards. And out of those 3 cards, you pick which card you would like to have back the most. But so for the first one, it's going to be Harpy's Feather Duster, Heavy Storm, or Giant Trunade. And I'm guessing you're going to say Harpy's Feather Duster since you already mentioned that.
Yeah, but the other ones would also be great choices.
Okay, just because to get rid of back row.
Yeah.
Alright, so between Masterpiece, Level Eater, and Gofu, which of those 3 cards do you think should come back? Or could come back?
I think none of them could come back.
Why so?
Masterpiece is still too strong. Level Eater.
Level Eater just lets you spam boards, right?
Yeah, pretty much this.
Okay.
And what was the last one again?
Gofu,
Gofu.
the one that makes 2 tokens.
Yeah.
He's a free link 3.
Yeah, pretty much this. It's too easy, I
Okay.
think.
And then final round, between 6 Sense, Return from a Different Dimension, and Last Turn. Which card could you see coming back the most? Or which card do you think could come back?
Obviously not Last Turn, but also I think they're all pretty much way too strong.
But if you had no choice, if someone pointed a gun at your head and said, alright, pick one of these 3, which ones would you say, okay, I'll have that back?
I guess Return from a Different Dimension, I guess.
Alright. So thank you very much for doing this interview. Alright guys, so we're here with Michel, who is one of another local players. Well, he's actually from Luxembourg, but he plays here under the week. And I was just going to check with him what he thinks. So first question is, what 3 cards do you think should get hit on the next list?
So first of all, the one that will never get hit, probably, or in the further future, but Firewall Dragon, of course, it's too abusable. There are so many FTKs that are only possible because of that card. I think that's a pretty obvious reason. Then the second one would be something out of the Dark Warrior engine, maybe Malicious at 2, or Armageddonite or Grapha, because those ones are at the moment the one that makes Firewall the most easiest way, as you only need 1 card, and even afterwards with Summon Source it will be even more broken. And the third one, I would think that Kagari could go to 1, because that would weaken the deck, as at the moment it's, besides all the FTKs, the most dominant deck. And that would be a hit that I think would be pretty fair, because the deck would still be playable, but you have to pay much more attention on the resource management, and that would still slow down the deck a lot.
Alright, so kind of like the same idea, but what 3 cards would you think can come back from the list? Like 0 to 1 or 1 to a different number?
For me personally, it would be a good choice, but I don't know how other people think about it. But I think Maxi could come back at 3, because at the moment the decks that abuse the most are those splashy decks, like we had Goki, now the FTKs, and those decks could be stopped by Maxi, as there's a possibility even with the FTKs to draw into the hand traps, and otherwise anyway it's a possibility to stop the opponent, to slow him down. And I think it would be more skillful to play with such a deck, as you have to think more if you go into the Maxi challenge or not, in depending on the situation. Then the second one, it's more like a personal choice, but for me, Shurit could come back, as I like the deck a lot, and I think that even if you get back Shurit to 1, it wouldn't do as much, as you still have the Unicore, the main card that manage the resources to on 1. So I think Shurit wouldn't do that much, but still it would make out of it a good rogue deck somehow. And then the third one is for me El Shaddoll Construct, as Shaddoll, even in the OCG, they don't do really much with it coming back to 1. And I think it would be interesting to have such. I think it wouldn't function as a deck with Construct going to 1, but still would be an engine. And I think it would be interesting to see which decks could get on well with that card.
Okay. So the next part is just going to be like compare 3 cards. Which card would you want back the most from those 3? It's going to be hard choices. So the first is going to be between Shockmaster, Lavalval Chain, and Daigusto Emerald. Which one of these 3 do you think can come back the most likely?
As long as Firewall stays, I would not consider Shockmaster, as you would do like the normal U-board and still have a Shockmaster beside. It would be too much. Lavalval Chain, I think it depends on what they ban now, as it would be again an addition to that Dark Warrior engine, but if that one goes away, if the FTKs goes away, it would be a possibility for me, because at the moment the deck that abuses the graveyard the most are the FTKs, and with them gone it would be Burning Abyss, and they do not play with the rank 4 engine. And Emerald is like a two-bladed sword. It's the shuffle back effect is for me completely fair and fine, but with those vanilla link monsters maybe it would be too good. So I would consider mostly Lavalval Chain.
Alright, so the next one would be between 3 spell cards that are very powerful, which are Dimension Fusion, Card of Set Return, and Painful Choice.
This is for me one of the hardest choices, but I personally would consider still Painful Choice, as it is like Dimension Fusion, as I already said, all those splashy decks, those going all in decks, even if the opponents get the monsters of Dimension Fusion, you just rip them off with removal and then OTK him. It would be too easy to OTK. Then the Sixth Sense.
No, Card of Safe Return.
Yeah, Card of Safe Return. That one would be just too plussy, like, yeah, for example, for decks like BA or something like that, which can abuse it every turn. And Painful Choice, it gives you advantage, but I don't see any deck at the moment abuse it that much. Like you cannot, in any deck you can pick 5 cards, of which when you get one you auto win, so I think that one would be the one I would bring back.
Okay, and then the last round would be between Sixth Sense, Return from a Different Dimension, and Last Turn.
I think I would take Last Turn, because it is somehow the most easiest one to play around. Like Return would be for me no choice, as there are Thunder Dragons, so even for them it's easy to OTK with it, and even if they can't, or if the card risks to be pop, they can chain and then in the end phase they plus off. And the other one was now
Sixth Sense,
Sixth Sense. That's the one
where you roll a dice. You call a number,
yeah.
2 numbers, and whatever you roll, either you draw or you mill.
That's for me like the grave is getting more and more important, and even if you are right, that would be too much plus. So I think that one would be too abusable for some decks. So for me, it's last turn. Even if it, I wouldn't choose it, but out of the three, it's the one
The
who
least
would-
evil.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
that's.
So thank you for answering the questions. And
you.
all right, guys, we're here with Mark, who's another local player from Battle Bears. So I'm gonna ask you some questions about the ban list. So the first question is, what 3 cards do you think should get hit the most?
What 3 cards should get hit the most? In my opinion, of course, I think everyone agrees with that. Firewall should get hit because his effect is not once per turn. We see many OTKs involving around Firewall, and I don't like spam cards in general, so I would really hit Firewall. Or they should at least errata it, so it's a hard once per turn, or maybe even a hard twice per turn, but Firewall has to go in the form that it is now, in my opinion.
Okay, what other cards?
What other cards? So 2 more. I would hit Stardom Engage from Sky Striker because we got Upstart Goblin on 1 and it just lets you draw 1 card and gives your opponent 1000 life points. And so we got Stardom Engage on 3, so you can draw a card and you can search your deck for any card you want to. Oh, and you can recycle this card. You can activate it multiple times per turn. You can search it, and that's totally fair. But Upstart has to be at 1. So
To what would you hit it? To 0?
not to 1, because it's a deck after all, and people should still try to play it if they really love it. But I think this card is too good at 3. It's so good. I think it's even kind of a better pot of Creed because you search 1 card and draw 1. It can't be better. It's so cancerous.
What other card?
And what other card? The third one is along with Firewall and along with spam decks, I really hate Gumpler Dragon. They proved with Omega that they hate hand loops, so they should hit Gumpler 2 because he can steal your opponent's entire hand, or almost your opponent's entire hand. And they showed with Omega that they don't want people to do that, so they should be fair and hit Gumpler 2 to 0 because he can steal up to
4 cards.
up to 4 cards, and that's too much, yeah.
All right. So next question. What 3 cards would you like to see come back from the ban list?
What 3 cards? Okay, there are a lot of very old cards in my opinion that really should come back because they don't do anything. First, let's start with maybe Ulti Canahawk, the fusion. It doesn't do anything. It can be a tree. The deck is not doing anything, so it wouldn't matter. Same with Book of Moon. It's on 1 because no one knows. It was hit to 1 because of Morphing Char in the early days, but that's so outdated, so it should really be a tree. And let's see, cards like that. But in my opinion, because it's one of my favorite decks, it's Cosmo, so they can bring back Dark Destroyer at 3, and they did it last ban list to 2, and it didn't do anything, so they can bring it back at 3. They will do anyway, in my opinion, next ban list.
All right. So for the next part, we're gonna do like 3 rounds where we're gonna compare 3 cards, and you choose 1 card you think would be the most likely to come back. So the first 3 cards are Harpy's Feather Duster,
Yes.
Giant Trunade, and Heavy Storm. Which of these 3 cards do you think could come back the most?
That's pretty easy. I think a Harpy's Feather Duster would come back because it really sounds unfair, but it isn't that unfair because with Heavy Storm you can crush your own cards and get advantage of that. Or with this Trunade card,
Giant Trunade.
With Giant Trunade, this old card. You can loop your own cards, and that can be very good too, or can be very broken too. And Harpy's Feather Duster just crushes your opponent's cards, and so that would be the most fair of these 3. And I think as one of you could really play it, it's not that OP, because most decks anyway are spam decks and don't play back rows, so it wouldn't be that OP to play it at 1.
All right. Between Masterpiece, Level Eater, and Gofu, which one of these 3 cards do you think could come back the most?
We are still in link formats at least, so we all know that Gofu was a little bit busted if you opened with him, because it's an instant link 3 and that's too much. Level Eater is infinite spam, maybe a little bit comparable to Firewall Dragon, so please not. And then there's only Masterpiece left, so I think Masterpiece would be the best of these 3 to come back.
All right.
Oh, because in Masterpiece can normally only play it in True Draco very well, and these other cards can play it in every link spam deck, everyone would spam it, and so these are too good.
All right. So last round. So between Return from the Different Dimension, Sixth Sense, and Last Turn, which card do you think can come back the most?
Okay, I think Return of a Different Dimension is not that unfair because it's a trap and you have to use it during your opponent's turn. And in the end phase, aren't these monsters banished?
Yeah,
anyway
they're
again?
banished again.
Yeah, they're banished again, so I would think this is the most fair one because normally you have to wait a full turn if you want to link up these monsters and during your opponent's turn, especially.
You can also
then-
activate it in your own turn if it was set.
Yes, but it needs to stay there
Yeah.
for one turn. Or if you go second, it has to survive a long amount of time in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that would never happen. So I think this would be the most fair one. Well, last turn is a trap too, but with insta-win cards as such, it's not good. Maybe there would be OTKs around that, and that's not so nice. And the third one was a this card you can just call 5 or 6, and then if you are right, then you can draw that many cards, and else you can mill a lot of cards. And this card is really it's not okay drawing 5 or 6 cards or milling 4. That's not okay.
All right. Well, that's all for the questions today, and thank you for answering them.
No problem. Thank you.